people of Newark actually benefit. Okay, Mehmet, I don't know many, as Corey said before, I don't know many celebrities who are as devoted to family as you are. Yes. You are an incredible husband, you're an incredible father, you're totally involved in your children's lives, and surely, you know, that's not that common among people who live their lives in the public eye. How do we keep families more closely united?
Well, if I just give one example of how it influences my life, if I had to pick the one reason why we have a childhood obesity rate that's increasing so much faster than the adult obesity rate is increasing, it's the lack of that family moment where you can make time stand still and share insights about the sacredness of coming together, both as human beings being with their parents in a moment where they actually have their undivided attention, but also the simple reality of the fact that food is sacred. Right? If you go to a grocery store, you're really walking into a pharmacy. Yeah. And we now have a generation of people who have not learned to cook because their parents never taught them, because they never had the family meal. And perhaps in the modern world, it's difficult to expect that from families. I don't get home in time to have dinner with my kids. But it's really nice to try once a week to make that happen, which is, I think, why the Jewish Values Forum that you've stimulated, and really I heard of it first through this whole idea of making a Sabbath dinner come alive again in this country. I think it would benefit everybody to at least have that one practice a week where you pass on knowledge from one generation to the other without all the other distractions that so often influence our process. And I operated on a 25-year-old woman a few years ago who had coronary bypass problems. She was obese, Hispanic woman, and it reflected exactly what I ended up seeing so much again in my career, when people didn't have a family structure to provide them a foundation. So you didn't just go out there foraging mindlessly because you can't tell what's good and what's bad because no one ever told you.
You gave me a twofold question. I didn't speak about family. Something is wrong with the concept of family in America, maybe in the Western world in general. We are youth-oriented to a degree which I find silly. You watch television, everybody is beautiful and young, and using Colgate, the smile is... What about the old people? I love old people. I always loved old people, always. To me, my grandfather, when he would come to spend a Shabbos or holiday with us, it was a double holiday for me. Today in America, the moment a couple is married, they do away with the parents, which means later on the grandparents. What do? At best, they send them to Florida, or to Arizona. Come on. But you have wisdom in the old people, wisdom and experience, and they want only to give. And they have to be invisible. They send them away. Something is wrong, basically wrong. What do you mean? When my grandfather would come, I would give him my bed. I would be happy always when he would take my bed. Today you cannot believe that. Right away, that something is wrong. And I believe really a civilization that does not celebrate people of old age, naturally, but especially the old people who can say something and teach and share and show the way. Something is terribly wrong. Now, I live in a world of young people. I'm a teacher. I've been for almost 40 years teaching. So of course I love young people because I believe in them. What's the difference? Any society is determined by really its attitude towards children and towards old people. What we are doing to children is, again, not ours, by the way, but children in the world. I have a mantra. Wherever I speak, I always have to mention that. Every minute that we spend here on this stage, in this sacred hall, every minute somewhere in the world a child dies of disease or of violence or of hunger. 1 billion people go to sleep hungry, including how many hundreds of millions of children there, and we do nothing about it. Something there is basically wrong, and therefore I believe in education, which means we should educate our leaders to educate the people, that whenever somebody runs for the Senate, or for Congress, or for a mayor, or for the White House, somehow to speak about that, about hunger. That is a plague which strikes on children and old people.
Well, I mean, isn't that the truth, how we treat aging? I mean, Mehmet, you said, you told the Jewish Week that you are opposed, this was a very controversial thing to say following what Professor Wiesel said, that you're opposed to a lot of these cosmetic procedures which artificially try to keep people young. You want people to stay young through healthy living. So do you think that we're obsessed with tinkering with our bodies and putting needles into our foreheads and all this other stuff that makes us look young?
Well, if you look at the numbers on cosmetic procedures, there's no question that we are increasingly concerned about it. Obsessed is often in the eye of the beholder. My personal bias is yes. Whenever my beautiful wife thinks that maybe she'll do something, I always block her, which is why she hasn't had anything done yet. I'm quite convinced of that.
Okay, this is news right here, Lisa.
No, every once in a while she'll come by and say, well, that woman looked very beautiful at the party. I want to look like her. You know, this is a basic misperception. You know, men marry the women they want to marry. And they marry them and they want them to look the way they look. And when they want to change that look, it's insulting to us in many ways. I want her to look the way she looks. And what I said in that interview was that I don't think a 60-year-old person should look 30. I think a 60-year-old person should look healthy for 60, which is an attractive appearance. Right? We all respect that. So I don't want you to look old for your age. You can look young for your age and not look 30, but once they've done this too many times, right? This, we call it the Martian look.
Yeah, you start looking like E.T. It's true.
E.T. It is true. So but this is all obviously clear. But the bigger problem is, of course, the perception of your self-worth. Because if you don't find value who you are and what you've evolved to become, and it all lies on the surface, it's all self-evident. But if you're willing to hurt yourself to get to that point, and it's not difficult to convince people that it's safe, but there's no free lunch. There are penalties you pay when you do these procedures. It's a reflection of an inner rotting that so many of us, I think, are experiencing. And that's why this whole movement that you're supporting and stimulating, catalyzing, I think is so important for this country.
Thank you very much. And you and Mayor Booker did beautiful PSAs for us that are airing right now. We just retouched your PSA, Mayor Booker. We airbrushed you.
Is this the PSA we taped in your living room?
Yeah.
Can I please redo that?
Yes.
I had the lighting, now that I know about lighting, it was from the fireplace.
I thought the lighting was from the glow on my countenance, but, and let me also just say, speaking about this, that, you know, I've had the great honor of knowing Professor Wiesel for 20 years, and to see his devotion to his wife, Marian, who graces us with her presence this evening. And Marian is his partner in all things, especially in running the Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity, which was begun right after Professor Wiesel won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1986, and it's one of the worthiest causes that anyone can support. The work they do among children, poverty-stricken children, African children in Israel is astonishing, that I personally witnessed. And Marian has translated so many of Professor Wiesel's books, including the Oprah Book Club choice of the republication of Night, which Time Magazine, I mean, I write books. No one gets this kind of description. Time Magazine called Night, which of course is one of the most important books of the 20th century, a slim volume of terrifying power. Wow. My books, they said, a slim volume that put me into a coma. So it's a very different kind of, so Mrs. Wiesel, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's move to the next